welcome to Streamline Your Service Department and Bolster Your Bottom Line with Sage Service Operations. My name is Vincent Pate, and today we're going to throw through a couple slides talking about what Sage Service Operations is and how it can kind of help your service department get a lot more out of it. We're then going to go into kind of a demo mode, spend most of our time showing you what the product looks like and how it works, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end and a special announcement. So, real fast, before we begin, just a couple quick things. This does work with your Sage 100 Contractor Service Receivables module or your Sage 300 Construction Real Estate Service Management module. The key points are it's going to be an extension of those, and we'll cover that here in just a minute. Now, we brought this stuff out into light for everyone else because we found that there was a lot of concerns that we found in the service and specialty contractor market that we wanted to be able to take and help you with. Number one, the amount of time that we found people were entering, or should I say re-entering data that people had captured in the field just to get it back into your Sage accounting system. We've talked to people that could spend days every week, maybe one day, maybe 2 days, of just entering in what their technicians have been doing. If you have a crew of 30 technicians out there with all their different paperwork that they're filling out, doing 4 different work tickets a day, it's a lot of information you have to then recode back into your service accounting piece in Sage. So that was a big concern we wanted to help with. On the other side of that, your technicians were unable to get that real-time data for the exact reason why it's not yet in the system. They have no direct access to Sage, and even if they did, the data was coming days away, so they didn't have any direct access. So we wanted to get your technicians to have a direct access to the data and be able to be efficiently dispatched immediately as opposed to having to wait and come into the office first thing in the morning, get their paperwork, or have to be phone called and hope they are able to answer and they're not in the middle of things, and all that information that can easily be handled electronically nowadays, but maybe not be with paper. Because of all this disproportionate information going this way and that way and not everything being direct, it led to a lot of lack of insight into the service department's profitability. If you can't get a list of what everything's going on now, how are you going to know exactly how profitable you are? And sales missed opportunities in the field. I mean, your technicians are out there grabbing, doing all this type of work, and if they see something else that they want to be able to quote out and they're not able to quote it or don't have a simple method to do so, it could be dropped and lost. And all this, there's increased competition. Everyone wants better, faster customer service. Of course, who doesn't? So giving you tools to be able to help with that. Well, now, for one, you have a Sage accounting system. That's why we're here on this phone call, whether it's Sage 100 or Sage 300, it gives you the backbone to be able to run your entire service department with all the billings and everything else goes with it. Sage Service Operations then takes the gap of having that information out available to your technicians. Now, what that means is it is a direct connection between your Sage accounting and the cloud. And we'll talk about in a minute how that works, but just note that everything you do is now live. So your technicians, where it used to be that they'd have to fill out a piece of paper and then hand to somebody else to code it in, that could take at minimum a couple hours to at maximum a week. We now have it instantaneous. Think of all the time you're going to be able to save by having your technicians directly entering in their work ticket. You could still verify it on the accounting side and make sure it's all good before you bill your customers, but technicians can now immediately enter in their information, their time as well. This is a full time capture software along with full service department capture. And again, direct connection back into Sage. So no matter what type of device you're using or where you're at, you can have access. And that includes laptops, desktops, smartphones, tablets, Apple, Android, Mac, Windows, BlackBerry, whatever. Every single one of those devices is going to work. Because it is web-based, for one, you can use any browser on any web-enabled device with limited offline capability. There is a little bit there. And it is a subscription model. So as we know our service people out there have months where they have more people working for them, and they have months where they have less. And you can actually change your license structure as it makes sense. It's, again, easy and intuitive to use, and let's go ahead and see that in action. So pulling up my service operations here, and we'll take a look here. Now, number one, I'm using a laptop. So as you're seeing this here, this is pretty much going to be a tablet view. If you're on a tablet, it's going to look almost identical, maybe without the white spaces on each side. Just kind of note that as we go through. If you're on a smartphone, it's going to be a completely different view for you. Specifically, we shorten everything. We change it to buttons. This is going to be, I'll show you a little bit more here once we actually get some data to work with in just a minute. So depending on whatever device you're using, it will automatically resize and work for your particular device. Now, we're kind of broken down into a couple different categories, or should I say different types of people will be using this software depending upon what they do in the office. Starting with the executive level, we got dashboards on here that you can pull up and see at a quick glance what's going on with your service department. Now, of course, you already have reports in your Sage accounting, whether that's service management or service receivables. You can keep those running to today. But if you want to pull up from your tablet at home before you head over to the office, you could see a quick glance. Ignore the zeros on there. Mine's sample data, so now I'm not in a live environment where I'm going to constantly have invoicing every single day, but that's going to pull up those numbers for you, show all of your different types of work, give you quick dashboards, and let you see that. Your dispatcher may or may not be the same person, has access to the same dispatch board you have today in Sage Service. It just happens to be available in the field, and expanded capability as well on top of that. So where in the current solution that you have right now, you can dispatch out your employees on a daily basis, we could still do the same thing, but we can also easily do a week or a 2-week or a month view. And if I go back and look at some of the data I had from a couple weeks ago, you have the full dispatch board available to you here, and you can click and drag and move things around as it makes sense. So if I see Corey here actually is going to update their work to do it on a different day, I can click and drag it to that particular day to do that. I can expand it out and make it go for a whole week if I need to and break out those assignments that way. But more than that, it's not just where your work orders are going. This is expanded out to allow you to even do your construction jobs. Again, we'll have much more of this tomorrow in that presentation, but the construction jobs can also be put out here. Your service work can be put out here, your equipment and subcontractors as well. So truly, you have a dispatch board for your entire company in this software. And that allows you to make sure if your technicians do both types of work, that you're not accidentally, you're not using a separate dispatch board that only shows service, and you say, well, it looks like he's free for the second half of tomorrow, but really he's not because he's at a construction job doing work. You can now see all that with this system and dispatch out accordingly. You can create your service work orders right here from the cloud as well. I could open up service management or service receivables and enter in a work ticket, and it will appear right here available for me to click and dispatch out. But I could also come over here from the field, right, looking at my dispatch board here, and create a work order. And I use the word field loosely in this case because as a dispatcher, you're probably on a desktop back at your office doing this work, but it could easily be you're out at the job site, you're driving around, well, not driving, I imagine, maybe at a Starbucks, and you can do your work there where you wherever you happen to be. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to go have a technician come out. I got a phone call from the Steamwood building in Portland. I grab that service site out of my list. I then dispatch out my person to do some installation work there. I can say that Vincent's going to come out there today and install a compressor. I create this work ticket. Now, I'm using my Sage 300 database for this. If you're a Sage 100 contracted user, the site is nearly identical throughout it. Obviously, there's a couple wording differences here and there, but for the most part, it's identical workflow. So if you're Sage 100 contractor, just note that there's not going to really be a change in how it looks and feels. And this is a direct connection to that service management module. So when I grabbed that service work order or created that work order and I created the service site, it was an immediate direct connection back into service management. And when I created that work order, 23344, it's already in my system. If I go over, look at service management and open up my Steamwood building, Work order 23344 is already here. Install a compressor. Literally direct connection between it, which means you don't have to maintain two separate databases. You don't have to re-enter in all your sites, your employees, things like that. It's literally connected directly between the two. And all the work is the same. If I went and opened up this work ticket and added information, I would see that available in the field, and vice versa. In fact, one of the two ways I hear it, and this technically gray area is all between as well. A lot of people I talk to, especially on the HVAC electrical side, their technicians go out and they fill in everything from notes to labor to parts. They fill it all in and they take care of it. If you're one of those companies that does roofing, landscaping, that does certain installational work, mechanical, you might have your dispatcher or your person that's creating the work ticket enter in all this information for your employee out in the field to view when they go open up the work ticket. It really depends on your company how you want to use it, and we're going to work on both sides. And before I actually do anything with this work ticket, I'm going to actually go back over to the assignments page and switch hats to that specific technician that was just dispatched out. They can see right here, if I pull up my day, here's where I need to be. Now, obviously, I only got one work order now created, but I can work off it. And by the way, we have a lot of security in this, so if you want to allow your employees to create their own work tickets, you can do that on an employee-by-employee basis. Those you trust, those you don't trust, you can mark them off either way. Same thing for pretty much everything we talk about. Do we want them to do purchase orders? Do we want them to do quotes? Whatever. We can set it up. Who can do what? Now, your employee coming into this, most people I talk to, their employees are using tablets. So, again, view is very similar. But if it's a smartphone, they're pulling in here, they're going to go to the work ticket, and it's going to give them that work ticket in button form where I can click a button to look at what's going on here, the site, the information here. Click a button back, and I can start entering my notes, use my speech to text on my phone, fill it in, things like that. Tablet, it goes to the other view. So in this case, I can see all the information here, where I need to be, and I can start filling in my notes. So I'll add my note, and you can create your own custom notes in the system. If you want your technicians all using the same verbiage for the same types of work, you can have that pre-filled in. We have both customer viewable and non-customer viewable notes. So you came in late, you want to notify that things went a certain way on the job site, you could do that in your office notes and automatically have these notes email your supervisor or somebody like that, whereas the customer won't have any idea what you just said there. Submit in my notes, as I go through this, I'm just going to go through and do all my work. So, by the way, I forgot to hit start on my traveling here. We have full time capture in the software, and you can do it either by punching in, punching out, including travel time. If we're talking construction, we can do breaks and lunches as well. More into that tomorrow in that presentation. But I can start my time. We're going to geo-stamp where my technician was using their devices, geo-coordinates, so I know where my people were when they started the assignment, when they stopped the assignment. You can have that time go back to payroll, or you can have them enter time manually when they're doing the billing portion. When they say, I worked here for 2 hours, that could go back to payroll for you, or again, punch in, punch out. Your choice, very customizable in how you're going to use this. Now, what I'm doing there is I'm saying I'm billing out for 2 hours of my job, and that's going to go to the customer to sign off on. Started my assignment, put in my hours, put in my notes. We have direct links back into the inventory modules, either service inventory in Sage 300 or just regular inventory in Sage 100 Contractor. So if I wanted to pull up and grab some wire harnesses or things like that, I can literally grab them, pull them out of my stocks, my truck, wherever those might be. I can grab them out, whatever quantities. I'm going quite negative in my sample data. That's because it's sample data. But note, you can track yours however you need. Also note as well, you can have your technicians, if you trust them to, create work ticket or purchase orders out in the field. We have a PO button, literally comes up, lets them pick out what parts I bought from what vendor, how much did it cost, is it going to the work ticket, is it going into my truck. It then updates your locations as necessary, and they can take pictures right there from their smartphone or from their tablet of the receipt of the parts, and it's all tracked together, and an email will be sent to notify your AP person that all happened. So tracking inventory parts, creating purchase orders on the fly. We can just do miscellaneous items as well. As we've mentioned earlier, I think I put install compressors, so I'm going to, say compressor. I'm going to have to charge for that, so we're going to put that on there. Trip charges, anything else, sky's the limit. Again, we're using the same service management or service receivables module you're using today. So if you can do it today, you can still do it in service operations, but allow it in the field for your techs. You can take pictures right from here, either from a laptop, attach a file to it, or from a smartphone or tablet, just take pictures right there from your camera, before and after pictures maybe. We can even do sketches or markups on those pictures as it makes sense. And we have a full line of reports that you can use. I'm going to really focus on the service report, but note you can customize your any form you want. Safety checklist, equipment listings, customer satisfaction forms, quick RFIs that you want to send out. Whatever you want to do, you can create your own custom forms. They can be sent to email people automatically, capture signatures, do check boxes, mark-offs, whatever you need. Those are going to be on the custom forms that you can build. But right out of the box, we're going to give you the service report, which is, in fact, the triplicate piece of paper that you normally have people sign that now can become digital. Pull it up on my tablet, hand it to the customer. Here is the work. FYI, it is customizable. If you want to turn on different parts, remove different sections, add pricing, add equipment detail, all that can be done on here. But your technicians can have this then turned in to the customer. They can say, yes, you did use those parts. I saw them. You were here for 2 hours. I'm going to sign off on it, and literally sign off on it with a signature, put in their email address. The customer then gets emailed, notified of the work that's been done through this work ticket in a PDF document. You now have stored in your system that PDF document if you ever need to go back to your attachments and say, hey, you know, this guy's calling me saying that he charged me for 2 hours, but he was only there for 1. You can literally pull up and say, well, this person signed for it saying there was 2 hours. So all that information is available to you to pull back. And again, you're going to email and notify people when that happens. In fact, that's usually the key. I'm going to go and close out this punch here. That's the key. When you are done with work, instead of having to wait for somebody to come back to the office and hand you those papers so somebody else can then code in, read their handwriting, and put it into Sage, we're done. I go right into service management or service receivables, pull up that work ticket, and everything that's been done is on here already. I can go to the register. I can see the wire that was put on there, the compressor, the amount of hours in the system that were put in. I can go to the notes section and see the work performed. All that is tied in, already available on the work ticket immediately. And as a supervisor, I can then go in and view it, make changes, corrections as necessary before sending out that email. And I'm notified as soon as they're done, so things that might have taken days can now go to minutes in terms of getting stuff actually sent out for this. And yes, I see someone ask a question, do we have talk-to-text capability? It uses your device's talk-to-text capability for notes. So if your device has it, then you have it with our software as well. Also, as I mentioned earlier, this is a time capture software. All that time that I put in, I said I worked 2 hours or I did a punch in, punch out, that's all coming in here as well. It's going directly into my service management in Sage 300, or it's going into daily payroll in Sage 100 Contractor. That time is coming right in so it can then be audited, reconciled, and pushed back into the payroll module to get checks done. Your entire construction team and service team can do time. Again, I'll focus more on time tomorrow, but just note that you can have everyone use this. We accommodate all types of time in the system: service time, straight sick time, vacation time. If I wanted to say that I went and worked in the shop for 2 hours today, I could do that. If I worked at a job, I can enter that. If I wanted to say I was out sick on Monday, I can do that. It's all available here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say I was on vacation on Monday just to have something in for my Monday time frame. So all time being put in here as well can be submitted for review. We have review team members that can get it, and when you submit your time, you'll be able to put a signature capture, say everything is good to go, and again, go through a review process and get pushed into payroll because it is, again, all live within your system everywhere. It's a full employee system to work with. We can do some other things as well. As I mentioned earlier, you might be able to capture better quotes in the field. Exactly for this, I have the ability in my work ticket to say, new quote, where a technician can really quickly just say, here's what I see is happening, comments to the office, what parts they think they're going to need, who do I want to notify, and it sends an email letting that person then go in and actually build out a quote estimate through service operations, send it to the customer to get signed off on, and turn it into a work order right from that. Lastly, going back over here to my assignments page, this is a system that can also do daily field reports as well. If you happen to have using this for your construction side, you can do that. And again, all of this comes down to security. What do you want your people to do? How do you want them to do it? We can set up every single user to do it the way you want. Now, let me just kind of walk through the process one more time, but at a high level, just to let you know, we can handle those quotes in the field. Those quotes can turn into work tickets. If you get a phone call, your technicians in the field can get a direct phone call from a customer, and they can create a work ticket, or the office can create a work ticket through this, or even continue doing it the way you do today, directly out of service in a Sage Accounting. You can create the work tickets there and fill them in and have that available up for the technician to see. Your technician will then, right from their device, will be able to see the work order that was assigned to them. They'll be able to go check their parts trucks and go buy items if they need to, because they'll be able to see what the work ticket is. They can travel to the site, and I didn't hit on this too much in the presentation, but note, the technician has all the information about the site they're going to as well. With a click of the button, they can take right to the site they're going to, see previous work tickets, what had happened on them, what equipment are you working on, what's my agreements look like, what are some quotes that are sitting out there, and even get site details with directions automatically right out of the system. So technicians have full access to know the site and the history that they're going to as well. And as they go to the work, they sign in. And again, we're geostamping where they start, where they end, so you can make sure that they're actually at the site and not at the Starbucks down the street. They fill in all the work or just verify the work that was told to them on the work ticket. And then the customer then signs off on it and says, here it is. Now, if you don't work with customers typically, you just go out and do the work. You can also make that signature be a technician signature capture or both. It's updating parts right from the work ticket because, again, direct integration into inventory. Plus, with the purchasing availability, you can add parts to either side. And, again, biggest key piece of this, it's a direct connection with your Sage Accounting. So everything you do is live, updating AP, payroll, service, inventory, and allowing you to get those invoices that may have taken you days to get out before, done within minutes as soon as it's done because you've been notified and all the information is already coded into the system.